I tweeted this, and it is time to speak. Please bear with me while I try to explain everything to the best of my ability. I know I'm gonna cry. I know my voice is trembling. This is arguably the most vulnerable my Scorpio ass has ever had to be. So if you know anything about Scorpio, we do not like being seen. Very, very difficult for us to bear all. Take astrology out of it, it's very difficult for me to bear all. But I know that God is calling me to do it, and Spirit is calling me to do it. My ancestors are calling me to do it, and Kathy is calling me to do it. So I'm gonna do it. So there's been a lot of speculation regarding this woman. For spiritual purposes, I will not be saying her name, but will instead be referring to her as the host. Why the host? Because people can vilify her all day and all night, but at the end of the day, there was a very powerful darkness working through her. Whether you believe in the devil or divine tricksters or demons, etc., I believe her to be nothing more than, not nothing more, but be a host. To be a vessel, to be a pawn for that darkness to move through her. I don't believe her to be inherently evil. At the end of the day, I believe her to simply be failed. There are a few things that I want to clarify before I move forward. One, this is not a smear campaign. I'm not here to slander her. I'm not here to disrespect her. I am here to share my experiences with her in hopes that other survivors of her spiritual abuse or any spiritual abuse speak up. I am not the only one she hurt. She hurt many, many people. There are a lot of healers, astrologers, etc. out here hurting many, many people. Two, witchcraft is not inherently evil. This is not the time to shame and demonize spiritual healers, astrologers, practitioners, root workers, etc. This is the time to have a conversation about protection. This is the time to have a conversation about mental health. If you are receiving guidance or mentorship from spiritual healers, be mindful of who you are receiving guidance from. If you are a healer providing guidance, be mindful of who and or what in the metaphysical you are receiving your guidance from. Three, I myself am a healer. I'm a clairvoyant empath. What is a clairvoyant empath? To put it plainly, I'm psychic. I can feel and see things beyond the physical, and I can feel other people's emotions as if they are my own. I can also feel the experiences of spirits as if they are my own. For several years now, I have both consciously and unconsciously used my art to raise the vibration of the collective in the best way that I know how, be it through my comedy, my drama, my music. If you've been following me in my journey for a minute now, and I mean really, really following me, I'm not talking about the viral shit and Watermelon Drea, who no tea is a character that I've used as a medium to communicate shit to y'all that y'all would not have listened to had it come straight from me. You needed her to say it to you. But if you've really been following me for a minute, you've probably picked up on the eerie ways that I've predicted both the past and the future in my work. And if you haven't picked up on it, you simply aren't paying attention. You're not looking close enough. So in case you haven't heard, the host was a very popular astrology influencer and spiritual practitioner / healer. I use the term healer very loosely because although she did abuse many people, I do genuinely believe she helped many people as well. She helped me. I can admit that. I learned a lot from her. But I'm also the type of person who sees the best in everybody. Like everybody. I can't help it. So maybe I'm just fucking delusional. On Monday, April 8th, 2024, the day of the solar eclipse, the host stabbed and killed her boyfriend, scooped up her 9-year-old and 8-month-old daughters, hopped in the car, drove through the gate of their apartment complex, pushed the girls out of the car on the highway. God bless both of their innocent souls, killing the 8-month-old. Thinking about Kathy. I know I said I was gonna cry throughout this at some point. Fun fact, I actually love to cry. Love to cry. I think it's the healthiest way, or one of the healthiest ways to transmute energy and heal. A lot of times I'll cry and it won't even just be for me. Most times I'm not even crying for me. I'm crying for my ancestors and an older version of me who couldn't cry, growing up a black man in America. For my friends, my family, strangers, I love to cry. But I didn't always, and I always hear Kathy. When I feel myself swallowing it, I hear Kathy in my head telling me, don't you hold that shit in. let that shit out. Anyway, she then drove about 20 minutes to Redondo Beach, California, going, I think, over 100 miles per hour on like a regular street, smashed into a tree, and died upon impact. Sounds straight out of a movie, right? And it is so easy to demonize her if you did not know her, but I did. She was a former mentor / friend of mine. She was a former mentor / friend of my late best friend Kathy's, and she was a former mentor / best friend of a few of my best friends. I learned back in 2019 that she was not only doing black magic on her followers, not all, but on her followers, but also people closest to her. And when Kathy and I found out, we cut ties with her completely and blocked her on everything. We wouldn't even speak her name. Wouldn't even speak her name in conversation about her, about mutual friends, about our experiences with her, out of fear. For real. After learning that this person that we trusted so heavily with our humanity and our spirits for real, she was the first and most prominent mentor both Kathy and I had when we were beginning our spiritual journeys, when Kathy and I began tapping into our innate spiritual powers and clairvoyance. To cut to the chase, after she found out that Kathy and I cut her off, she cursed us. It's not funny. I just hate how Scorpio I am sometimes, because I'm so blunt and matter of fact, and like this is what happened. It is what it is. About some of the most off the wall shit. So I know when I said that, I could feel some of y'all jolt. And to me, I'm just like, yeah, she cursed us. She cursed us. The curse nearly killed me. It killed Kathy, and it drained my energy for several years. Let's go back to 2020. On June 22nd, 2020, I was on the receiving end of a hit and run with Kathy. We were knocked unconscious upon impact, hospitalized, our brains bled. My bleeding stopped the following morning. Kathy's did not. And she passed away the following day. And the crash made international news. The curse impacted my career, my money, my relationships, etc. And to protect myself and the people around me, I won't explain that any further. Believe me, don't believe me, your perception of me doesn't make me any more or less valid. If you're watching this and your frequency is on the lower end, no shade, and you didn't know that curses, spell work, etc. were real, I'm here to tell you that they are. And I'm gonna leave part 1 at that and explain this further in part 2. I won't speak for Kathy, but for me, I was raised Christian in the Baptist church, like most Black Americans. Shout out to slavery. I can't speak for you, but I know where my bloodline originates in Africa, and I do fear that my ancestors did not practice Christianity. To most of the Black Americans watching this, I do fear that your ancestors did not practice Christianity. I know how that comment just jolted some of your nervous systems, and I'm not here to discuss how Christianity was in Africa well before the transatlantic slave trade. That's a conversation for another day, girly pop. I am a descendant of slaves. Black America, most of you are descendants of slaves. Not all of you. Common misconception. And America saw to it that if we could do nothing else, we could read that Bible. Couldn't read shit else. Couldn't write shit else. Couldn't speak our native tongues and languages. Could barely speak English. Couldn't practice our native religions. Couldn't practice our native rituals. But they made sure we could practice Christianity. I mean, no disrespect to my Christians watching this, but Christianity for me, next caller, came out to the world as bisexual when I was 21. As I began navigating my queer journey, happier and healthier and freer and more fulfilled than ever, it became simpler for me to take account of the things that made me unhappy and unhealthy and unfree and unfulfilled. It became simpler to love myself and take account of the things that made me not want to love myself, and realize that everything I hated about myself was rooted in Christianity, was rooted in the Christian church and in Christian teachings and Christian interpretations of the Bible. So I denounced it. I realized, wait, I actually don't think I'm going to hell for being queer. Like the church has convinced me that I am, and people in and out of the church have convinced me that I am. I've never felt better about myself and my capacity to love. And the things that the Christian church are saying to me have to be false. They gotta be. And I only know it now because I've never felt this type of love. This was me at 21 while I was deconstructing everything after coming out. And then I began denouncing God. because my only relationship with God was rooted in Christianity. I have since undenounced them. I have a very specific relationship with God, with my ancestors, with my spirit guides, etc. Long story. But in my experience, Christianity used God as a tool for fear and not for love. So I denounced that tool and I began studying the roots of Christianity and its tie to Black Americans and its tie to slavery and propaganda, which led me back home. It led me back to Africa. It led me back to my ancestors. And I began studying African spirituality and tracing back my roots to the plantations my ancestors were on when they were brought over here and where they're from in Africa, where my bloodline originates, and the practices of the people in those areas. And I began building a relationship with my ancestors and building a relationship with me, with my intuition, with my body, with my soul, with my higher self, with my spirit guides, with God, with my clairvoyance. With all the things that I've always innately felt, just as an empath, that growing up Black in America beat out of me. Black and queer in America. I didn't even know I was fucking queer. I knew I was queer, but I know I was queer. America was sure to remind me of it. And I began researching different tools of connection like plants and candles and crystals and herbs and shit, which led me to the host, which has led a lot of you watching this to the host. And our connection, our relationship, her guidance felt iridescent until it didn't. Until Kathy and I learned that she was not only manipulating the public, but the people closest to her. Until we learned about the rituals. There's no shade to rituals. We stand a good ritual up in here. I do. My people do. But the rituals connected to Black magic and the curses and the hexes, the blood magic, and how she was using it to manipulate the people closest to her. She cursed everyone. Like everyone. If she was intimidated by you, saw you as competition, she cursed you. Everyone she was jealous of, everyone she thought was jealous of her, everyone who had something she wanted. Do not be an astrologer. Don't be a fellow astrologer. Don't be a fellow healer. Don't be a fellow spiritual practitioner and come across her timeline and have something she wants. She cursed you. That's a Spotify Wrapped of the shit she was doing. And again, I only know these things because I knew her. Honestly, out of respect for her, I'm not gonna expose her shit too much. She know what she did. And the people around her know what she did. Even those of you lying about what she did. I don't have the time to sit here and explain how to curse someone and the millions of rituals and tools to do so. From bones to blood to chickens to needles to cows to snakes to candles. Just know it exists. And when Kathy and I found out, we said, oh no, oh no. And we severed ties with her. We over here trying to heal our inner children and heal generational curses and meditate and tap into the guidance of our ancestors to better ourselves and our friends and our family. And each of you watching this, I didn't sign up for the black magic. You can keep that. You can miss me with that. You can miss me with that. What do you mean sometimes you don't feel like sending the Reiki? So you don't do it, but you still charge people for it. And you freeze photos of your ops to bind their energy. No. Even with the little Kathy and I found out, I did not learn most of this, and obviously what she did to me and Kathy until after the crash. After she smashed into that tree going over 100 miles per hour behind the wheel of that Porsche Cayenne that she paid for with my money and the money of Kathy and the money of many of you watching this. On the day of the eclipse, what was done in the dark started coming to light, as it always does. Balance is being restored. She bit off more than she could chew. And I don't hate her for it. I don't pray that she burns in hell like a lot of you are. Like I said before, I still don't believe her to be an evil person. Somewhere along the road, something very, very dark attached to her and began using her to carry out a very, very, very dark mission. And I know now she's stuck on the side of the road in limbo, unable to cross over, facing her judgment. And there's people watching this that she wants to know that she's sorry. I know she wants me to know that she's sorry Take that as you will. I'm a best of both worlds type of guy, and I just see the best in people. You can nearly murder me, murder my best friend. I know at the end of the day, people's souls. I'm a very good reader of soul and intention and who people are underneath the masks and the trauma and generational curses and demons. And I have a lot of faith in humanity. I have a lot of faith in what is to come. I just pray she finds the light. I truly pray she finds the light. This is part 2. I'm going to try to tie everything together in the final part 3. When the doctors and the lawyers and the police were questioning me about the crash, they couldn't find the other 3 cars involved in the crash. Yes, there were 3 other cars involved in the crash. Kathy was driving down the highway. I was chilling in the passenger seat. We laughing and giggling. Out of nowhere, 2 cars speed onto the highway, slam their brakes in front of us, forcing Kathy to slam on her brakes, and a truck comes up behind us and slams into us. And all 3 got away. How was I to explain that it was not an accident? How was I to explain that it was murder, an attempted murder? Nobody's serving jail time in the United States these days for witchcraft. And again, witchcraft is not inherently evil. It's about the way that you use it. For real, we all witches, but that's a story for another day. A lot of y'all's favorite artists are either witches or have witches on their teams and use their art to either raise or lower the vibration of the collective. And this ain't no conspiracy theorist type shit. I've been in Hollywood for 10 years. I've been around the block. I've seen it. It's happening right under our noses. Like right under our noses. And there's a very powerful veil that keeps the collective, that keeps most people, most of you from seeing it. It's energetically impossible for most of you to see it, but it's happening. I know too many of you, I sound fucking crazy. I know that, and I'll be that. As long as I'm completing my mission, completing what I was called here to do and kept here to do, I'll go down as that. It isn't easy to go down like that. It isn't easy to tell this story. I make it look easy. I always make it look easy, and I don't talk about just how much, just how much I cry every day. This may sound like a movie to most of you. This may sound like a fable, a ghost story. You may think that I need to be locked up, like in the nearest institution. And I mean, I get it. I get it, but this is my life. This is not tea. I'm not saying any of this for clout. None of what I do is for clout. I think people forget that, like, or maybe don't know. Maybe people don't know. I've reached over 1 billion people the past 13 years around the world. I have been blessed to accumulate an audience of 10 million plus people across a shit ton of social platforms. I don't need clout. What am I going to do with clout? Been there, done that. I was doing this shit well before any of... Like, what do I need clout for? Now it's just, my only mission is to tell my story and to help people and to wake people up, to continue to be intentional and remove ego. That's all I'm here to do. Most motherfuckers are out here just doing dumb shit, saying dumb shit for a couple views. That is not my story. The host tried to kill me. She killed my best friend. No, there's no hard proof. I know that's what most people want, which is funny to me because, for example, like Christians want hard proof of stuff, but for whatever reason, their faith in like Jesus and the Christian God is enough proof. Y'all are real hypocritical. But if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. The world is going to shit and everyone is scared. And that fear pushes us to find something to believe in. We need something to believe in now more than ever. And I urge you to listen to one another. You don't have to believe everything the next person believes, but that does not have to stop you from listening to them, receiving them, practicing empathy, taking account of their experiences, putting yourself in their shoes. All I ask is that you listen. If you can't listen to me, listen to yourself. Listen to your intuition. Listen to your body. Energy does not lie. Ever. People lie, but energy doesn't. Your body and your intuition don't. I share all 3 parts of the story with each of you, not only to let you into my life and my mind, but most importantly, because I know I'm not alone now. I've been real good for feeling like I'm alone. And I know now that I'm not. Lastly, again, this is not the time to demonize unconventional forms of spirituality. This is not the time to demonize the host. This is not the time to demonize the entirety of her work. Again, I do believe she helped a lot of people, but she hurt a lot of people too. Please practice protection and discernment and be mindful of the people that you listen to. And thank you for listening to me.